Hello and welcome to my second in the series of my lunchtime webinar series. I am so happy to have you here and I have to apologise in advance because there is a lot of noise going on next door to my house, and I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, that you can't actually hear it. So today we're going to talk about something that I absolutely love talking about, thinking about, and really working on with my own clients. But amazingly enough, the more I thought about it and the more I worked on this week, the more I was reminded how many businesses actually neglect this and forget about this. So before I get into that, because I was getting all passionate and indignant about it when I was writing about it, I'll introduce myself. My name is Kate McCormack. I am a business and marketing consultant and coach for small business owners, for men and women who have their own businesses, entrepreneurs, micro businesses, and also larger small businesses. So my hope with this series of webinars that I'm doing is just to provide you with the opportunity to listen to something in a relatively short amount of time. Maybe it's in your lunch break. Maybe you actually are in a workplace and thinking about starting a business. But this is the kind of thing that they're just really important tips that I think can be foundational for your business. So I've been working in my business for 2 years now, absolutely loving it. I've been lucky enough to work with some amazing people in my own business, but I've also been lucky enough to work with some amazing big brands in my career, in my corporate career. And, you know, I just love the mix of things that I have to pull on to actually help my clients in their business. I live in Melbourne in Australia with my husband and my 3 children who are all at school now, thankfully, although I shouldn't really say that because I was actually a bit sad to see them go, but they're all healthily at school, which is a fantastic thing. So I'm trying, like most of us, to create a business that allows me to have the balance that I really crave, and sometimes I do a really good job of it with my husband, and sometimes I do a really shit job of it, like all of us. So I'm not here today to pretend that things are perfect for me. I'm here today to share some tips with you that I know for sure will help you build and grow your business, no matter what your business is, whether it's a product business-based business or a service-based business, and no matter what size your business is, whether you are someone from, I don't know, maybe BP listening in, or whether you are an entrepreneur or a life coach just starting out in your own business, this is relevant to all of you. So having worked with so many brands and businesses over the years, I know that the ones that succeed are the ones that are truly customer-centric. So what do I mean by that? Really, to be customer-centric is actually placing the customer at the center of everything that you do. Now, marketers are really good at this because actually this is one of the key components of marketing. This is the premise of marketing. So marketers believe that the purpose of creating a business is to uncover what your customers or potential customers want or need and for you to give it to them. It's actually not about creating something just because we're really passionate about it, although that is really important. And I often go through the process of talking to my clients about creating their why and get them to watch that beautiful TED Talk by Simon Sinek, which if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. That is all very, very important. But it's not really relevant if we don't understand our customers and if we are not willing to give them what they want and need, not only driven by our own passion and our own purpose. So it's the combination of these two things that is ideal. I'm here today because I feel like the combination of building my own business and working with the clients that I have worked with in the last couple of years in my own business has given me a really unique insight into the intricacies of building a business. And also, like, I understand that having come from a corporate background where there is access to lots and lots of rich data and research, that it can be a bit overwhelming to think about where to start when you actually want to find these things out about your customers. I want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way, that with this beautiful, amazing tool that we have at our fingertips right now, that we have access to things that even 5 years ago corporate businesses were paying thousands and thousands of dollars for. It's at our fingertips, and much of it is free. So we are in an amazing space to uncover these secrets and these dreams and these desires and all these really, really important things that should be informing our decision making in our business. And that's the whole purpose of this. We really need to understand our customers and our clients, because we need to make informed decisions. Now, I want to preface this by saying I am actually really a big believer in following your intuition. So I'm not discounting that in anything that I'm saying, but often people make the mistake of thinking that marketing and advertising a business is purely subjective. So I love the look of that, therefore I'm going to go with that. But if you are in a business and you don't understand what your customer wants, thinks, and feels, then you're making decisions based on your own thoughts and ideals and feelings. And that's the wrong thing to do, because you're actually not your customer. So even though you may have been your customer at some stage, and often businesses are created out of a need that we have felt ourselves, you're still not your customer. So it's important that we are always making informed, objective decisions, because marketing is not actually subjective. Now, intuition is very important, and I absolutely believe that you should trust your intuition, but it's this beautiful combination of actually having knowledge, understanding, and real rock solid research that's going to help us. So today what I want to talk about is all those before steps that you need to take before you actually start to write that beautiful customer avatar. That is a really fun thing to do, and I love doing it. And actually, that's one of my favorite things to do for my clients. And you know, it's great. It's a great tool to have. But what I want you to know is that that's actually the last thing that you should be doing. So what you have to do before then is do your research. Now, don't be put off by that, because it's a good thing to do. It's a fun thing to do, and actually, it's a lot easier than what you realize. So what I'm going to do right now is to share my screen with you and have a little look at some slides, but I will be coming backwards and forwards. So just bear with me as I do that. I'm not going to overwhelm you with slides, because I think it's really important that, well, I can't actually see you, but you know, I don't want to bore you with a whole lot of slides. So this is obviously where we are. This is the second in the lunchtime webinar series. Oh, wrong slide. Let's ignore that one. We're going to be talking today about trying to uncover those deep secrets that will inform our decision making in our business about our clients. We're going to try and work out what they actually want. So I've spoken a little bit about who am I, and today we're going to be talking, it's quite simple, but there's a lot in here. So we're going to be talking about demographics. We're going to be talking about psychographics. I love that word. And we're going to actually be talking about research and why that's so important. We're going to talk about why you need to uncover your clients' pain points and how important it is for you to understand those pain points before you can actually start to create that customer avatar and their story. You know, if you don't understand what their pain points are, you are unlikely to be able to give them what they need and what they want. I've already spoken about me. What I would say to you is I am going to actually try and resist the temptation to stick to the slides. So as much as possible, take some notes. I really want to take away the overwhelm on this one for you. That's my intention for this whole series. It doesn't have to be that hard, and you can do it no matter what size your business actually is. This is for anyone in any business. It is so important, but you have to be able to do the work. Not be able to, because you're all able to, but you have to be prepared to do the work to uncover the secrets. And look, research is one of the most exciting aspects of building any business. It's fantastic. You just need to be prepared to listen carefully to what they're saying, and also have that beautiful concept of a beginner's mind, where You may have heard lots of this before. You have to stay open to hearing the same thing again. You know, it can take up to 7, 10 times to hear the same thing before we truly understand what they're trying to tell us. So be prepared to do the work. The problem that I see over and over again, and this has been in big, big businesses, is that the questions around what your products and services should look like, or your marketing, or your, you know, financial decisions, whatever you're making, they're not actually being answered with the right foundation. And so they don't feel like they are working the way that you want them to. So just let me elaborate on that. It's all very well to make decisions just flying by the seat of your pants, and entrepreneurs are great at doing that. And, you know, often that will work for quite some time, but you will always reach a point in your business, always, no matter who you are, where you need to be more objective in the decisions that you're making, and that needs to be driven by a deep understanding of who your clients are. Okay, so the mistakes that I see people make in this area: number one, I already know what they need. Often driven by people thinking, well, I was that person once, so I already know what they need. Now, you can start a business like that, you know, and gosh, I wholeheartedly believe that can see great success, but we're about building sustainable businesses for the long term. And to do that, we need to stay in touch with our clients. We need to have intimate knowledge of what they want, because that changes and that evolves just as we all do. Myth number two, I can't afford proper research. Well, that's just not the case anymore. You know, if you were starting a business 10 years ago, yes, it would have been a very expensive exercise. That is just not the case now. So please don't think that it is, and don't be deterred by it. I make decisions purely subjectively. Now, as I mentioned before, often people think that their marketing decisions are subjective. I've worked in corporate where in that world, every single person thinks that they have got a better idea of how your marketing and your advertising should look. What they miss a lot of the time, if they're not in the marketing department, is that our decision making is driven by information and data. So we're making decisions about those pretty little ads and about our online presence and about everything that we're doing based on actual research about our clients and our customers, not just based on what we like. And look, the reverse can actually be true, okay? We can be overloaded with information in this space, so I'm not about doing that for you. So please don't feel like that's what I want. You need to be able to look for the information that you need, but don't go overboard and don't overcomplicate this for yourself, because you can get into overwhelm with it, particularly, you know, if you're starting out on your own and you don't have any sounding board to talk through these types of things with. Okay, so today we're talking about your ideal customer or your ideal client. Now, these might be existing clients or existing customers. It's all about, of course, building your tribe and understanding your person and your people and what they want and what they need. But what you really need to do first is cover off the steps that people are very happy and wanting to skip over at the moment. You have to get down into the demographics and the psychographics. So you need to know the facts about that person. You've got to know, you know, age and gender. Yep, that's probably the most, that's probably the easiest point to get to. But how much are these people earning? You know, are they a family? What is the household income? Are they a single person? What do they need to be earning to actually, you know, well, really, this will affect your pricing. Is your business going to be sustainable? Are they earning enough money, even though you're creating something that's wonderful and fantastic? Are they going to be able to afford to pay you for your services or your products? You know, where are these people living? Now, location in terms of where are they actually physically living, but also other spaces that they hang out. Where do they hang out online? Where do they regularly holiday? All this type of thing. So what's their family status? Are they married? Are they single? De facto, you know, whatever it is, same-sex relationship, whatever is relevant to your business. And what life stage are they at? So, for example, you can't just say I'm going to be targeting married people, because a 30-something married person that has just gotten married and is in the honeymoon stage of their marriage, they got married 6 months ago and they are still very much in love and floating on cloud nine, is a very different customer to a person who's been married for 10 years, has 3 children, and is moving into private school fees and has a mortgage and, you know, other things to consider. So even though we can describe them as someone who's married, you need to know what life stage they're at. Also very different to someone who is still married, whose children have all left home and they are either you know, loving life, living life, or battling with being part of a generation that didn't all have to have superannuation. So what's relevant for you? What level of education do they have? Now, I'm still a big believer in this. So did they just finish high school? Are they likely to have some form of apprenticeship? Is this relevant for you? Is it relevant for you that they have a degree qualification or a master's qualification? Or are you targeting specifically those who are even more qualified? What level of education do they have? You have to have all this formal information about your clients so that when you target them in a more formal sense and when you're buying media, you actually know the facts. The Facebook ads are a brilliant tool, kind of like a marketer's dream, really, to be honest, from the point of view of how targeted you can be, because that's just dreamy. But if you don't know what those facts are about your clients, well, that's irrelevant to you. Other media buying, like what other blogs are they reading? What is, you know, you might look at a blog and understand and think, well, I'm sure that my potential clients are hanging out there too. So I'm going to spend $1,000 on putting an ad on there for a month. But you really need to make that decision on a very informed basis. Also, when you're briefing anything, and we went through this last week when we were talking about rebranding your business, any kind of creative development, any kind of media development, any kind of web development, anything that you're briefing, you've got to have the facts. So get into the facts, get down into the nitty gritty. And we also need to uncover what their psychographics are. So what are all their values and what are their interests? You know, what do they think about things? What do they really care about? What are their opinions most strong on? You know, what kind of personalities do they have? That can be relevant to so many people. You know, there's a fantastic life coach that I know, Catherine Mackenzie Smith, who focuses on working with introverts in a very, very positive way. Now, their personality types for her clients are very relevant to what she's doing. So what kind of behaviors do they have and what kind of lifestyle are they living? Psychographics dives down deep into all of that. And the customer avatar that lots of people get into, dive straight into now, actually embraces a lot of the psychographics. It's a great way to articulate the psychographics about a person. So that's great and that's all fantastic. And I know that you're thinking, well, that's all good, but how do I actually find all of that stuff out? Now, the answer to that is research. You know, there are some great segmentation tools. Roy Morgan Value Segments is such an old one, but my God, it's still so good. There are many, many, many of these things out there, and you can access them all online. There are plenty of personality profiling tools out there. The Fascination Advantage by Sally Hogshead is a fantastic one that I've worked with recently. Many, many options for you out there. So research. That kind of stuff is secondary research. So that is research and facts information that already exists about a type of customer that you think you're targeting. But your primary research is focusing on your own clients, on your own research that you are going to do yourself. And that can be broken up into, just bear with me, qualitative and quantitative research. So your qualitative research is all about the thinking, feeling, most likely to be uncovered and done through things like focus groups, in-depth interviews, and your quantitative is more data driven. So where can you get some numbers and facts about these people that you're targeting, who are your ideal client? So first of all, let me just talk to you about the qualitative research. What I want to talk to you about is, I'm just going to flick back to stop screen sharing for a moment. What I want to talk to you about is, so qualitative research is a fantastic way for us to really reach out and uncover what our clients want and need. So if you think about the conversations that you have with people, if you think about the reasons that you probably started your business, a lot of it has already probably been driven by qualitative research. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, I know because I had a conversation with that person and she already told me that these are her biggest fears, these are her dreams and their desires. That's what qualitative research is. So find those people that you can have those beautiful in-depth conversations with, as many as you can. Focus groups allow you to do this on a slightly broader scale. Now, we can all do a focus group. Any one of us can do a focus group. It doesn't have to be a very formal situation. You could do it online. You could invite a group, a handful of people, probably about 6 would be the maximum, I would say. You could invite them into your home. You could invite them into your workspace. You could invite them in, just offer them something for an hour, a drink, whatever it is, a coffee, Pinot if you're going to invite me, whatever you want to give them for their time, and sit them around a table and start a discussion. All you need to do this is, first of all, make sure that they are relevant to you, so that they are sitting in that demographic profile that you've already created and the psychographic profile. But you also need to be able to prompt them with questions. So have a really clear knowledge before you start this group discussion about what they actually want. You could do this online too. You could do this in a Google Hangout. It's all very, very, very accessible. So, and really powerful stuff, because focus groups and in-depth interviews are where the secrets lie. The qualitative research is very, very relevant and very powerful and very important. I'm a big believer in data-driven marketing, and it's actually quite an extensive part of my background, and so I believe it hugely. But this qualitative research, talking to your clients, spending time with them, understanding them intimately, knowing what their fears are. What are they scared of that's actually going to happen to them? What is it that gets them up in the morning, really gets them up? Not just the fact that they have to get out of bed because they've got a hungry child screaming in the lounge room. What is it that actually, makes them think, I am rapt to be getting out of bed this morning? Or, what is it that's making them not want to get out of bed in the morning? What's going to be their favorite night out? Is it a night out with their husband? Is it a night out at the movies with their friends? Or is it just having dinner with a group of people? What are they worried about when it comes to their children? What are they worried about when it comes to their relationship? Or what would they change in their relationship? What do they want to be different in the world for their children or for their parents or for their siblings? What do they want to change? What would they do if they could change something? Beautiful, in-depth, deep, meaningful, open-ended questions will uncover such a fantastic, just a wealth of knowledge, just a pool of information that you can dive back into over and over and over again. And with the in-depth interviews and focus groups, just make sure you get permission from them to record it, because you'll never be able to, even if you have someone else there taking notes for you, you're never going to be able to take it all in on the spot. It's really important that you have a recording of this so you can go back and get it. That qualitative research is rich in data for you. When it comes to the quantitative stuff, SurveyMonkey is a brilliant way to uncover, what's important from a statistical perspective, what's relevant. But do be careful about this though, because it's not enough to go into a Facebook group where there is 10 people and do a survey and base just really big decisions in your business on those results, because that's not what we call a representative sample. It's just not. It's not going to give you a proper indication of what's right and what's wrong. You need to be looking at broader groups for that, and really, you know, kind of 20, 50, 100 survey responses. If you can, that would be ideal. So, research. Get into it. It's fun. It's good. That's the primary research. Secondary research, there is a wealth of it online. There are so many different ways you can do it. But your Facebook groups, just read the things that people are worried about and concerned about. You know, if you're in a group that is talking about whole foods, like what are those, and that's relevant to your clients, and what are their deepest fears? Like what is coming out really strong in the questions that they're asking, the comments that they're making, you know, or if exercise and fitness is relevant to you and you're in a group of people online, you know, maybe it's the 28 by Sam Wood is one that I've been in recently. Very active, really passionate group. You know, if that group that you're in is filled with your potential ideal clients, then have a look and just read and look and listen. So listening is a really important part of this. Active listening is something that, you know, even in this day and age, we can be still not very good at. And look, I've got to admit that I was in my early 30s when someone finally taught me about active listening. Now, I personally love listening. So I always have this theory that I make friends with people who like to talk a lot, because I actually love to talk. I can't pretend that I don't. But I also love to listen, and I'd never want to have to talk if I don't want to. So my reason for telling you that story is that I love to listen to people. It's must be one of the reasons I'm in marketing. I know this for sure. And, you know, because understanding, you need to become that person. You need to be able to practice active listening. And that means that when someone is telling you these things in your beautiful focus groups, in your discussions, or even in just a conversation that you're having with a mum in the schoolyard, you've got to think about what they're actually saying to you. Don't just be waiting for them to finish their sentence so that you can say what you want to say. Listen to them carefully, take on board what they're saying, and be thoughtful and considered in your response. And if that takes a few moments, then that's fine. It doesn't matter. You don't need to fill the silence with noise or air. Just practice active listening, and become really aware of what's going on around you that's relevant to your business. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to just flick back now to the PowerPoint presentation. Look, I think that in terms of doing all this research, one red flag that often comes up for people that I know is that, or people that I've worked with, is a fear of getting down into this detail when they're actually talking about their clients, because they worry that they'll be missing out on potential clients. It won't happen. I know for a fact, I can tell you for a fact, having worked with hundreds of businesses and brands, literally, the more clear you are on who your customer is, the more you go through this process and do the research where you evaluate and you evolve who your business is servicing, the more your right people will come to you. Now, people say this a lot. If you know who you want to service, and if you be yourself and you be genuine, the more right people will come to you. But you need to know who that person is before that statement actually becomes true. Keeping it too broad has an unwanted effect of people not understanding if you are for them or not. It's the same with any branding that you do. You know, if you are not clear on what your customers want and need and desire, there's no way that you can communicate to them. There's no way that you can actually hook them in with the right words and the right sentiment and the right feeling in any marketing or anything that you're doing in your business if you don't know what that is. Sure, you can guess and you might have a pretty good idea, and for a while that might work, but it is so important that you keep learning and keep understanding about your clients. The more you niche, the more narrowly you define your target market, the better everything will be in your business. Your marketing, your product and service mix, your team building as you grow, your growth strategies, whatever they might be for your business. I know this sounds counterintuitive. Perhaps in the beginning, all I can say to you is please trust the experts, because it is a fact that if you have a clear niche and you understand them, that you will have greater success in your business. But also remember, one of the things that I do have to remind people of is that this is an internal document for you and for your key stakeholders. It's not actually something that you're necessarily going to put on your website, although I have to say that much of that research that you do will inform copy on your website. You're not going to exclude people by doing this. So, we will often work with people outside that strict definition, and that's cool. One of the other ways to think about your customer is to think about their mindset. Now, I'm really passionate about talking to people that I work with about our own mindset when it comes to building a business. Any blocks that you have, any self-sabotages, any resistance, and all of those things that are often the actual reason that people don't succeed in their business. But it's really important for you to understand what the mindset is of your clients and your customers. What are their blocks? What are their self-sabotages? What resistance are they likely to have to working with you or purchasing your product? And often actually it can be a common mindset that defines your client, more so than any really strict demographics. So for example, with me, my own clients are pretty much testament to this. So one of the most common themes in terms of their mindset is a really strong belief that there's a better way of doing things, that they don't have to accept a way of working that does not bring them the happiness and abundance they know they can have and that they deserve. So this could equally be a mother looking to return to work after having children, as it could be a woman in her late 20s who's worked in the corporate world but now realises this is not for her. It's a mindset that brings those women together, and often that mindset that brings them to someone like me. They both know that they want to work hard. In fact, working hard is actually a very big part of their lives, and they deserve to be rewarded for it, and that's the trick. They know they should be rewarded. They're not prepared to accept second best. They both understand that they don't want a certain structure to be forced on them by someone else, and that they need to be able to work on their own terms. So there could be a 5 to 10 year age difference between these women, and they could be at very different life stages, but they're united in that mindset. And I believe that this is the right client for me, for men and women. But you have to go deeper than this. And so this is where we get into creating our ideal customer story. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about pain points, and just to help you understand, it's critically important that we, in this research, uncover those pain points. If we don't uncover those pain points, and if we can't articulate to our potential clients or customers that we understand what those pain points are, they won't see that we are the right person for them. You can't get to those pain points just by making assumptions about who you think your clients are. You need to get to those pain points and understanding of those through doing proper research. So this is my fear, and what I see happening a lot is all those assumptions, so many assumptions about people. It's a mistake to think that our clients, even though there may be similarities and even though we may have been through what they've been through, are the same as us. That's a mistake. People often make this mistake. You owe it to them, and you owe it to yourself and your business success to actually make sure that you understand them on an ongoing basis, that you stay, really in touch with how they're feeling. So the person that probably already exists in your mind, which is helpful, because one of the things that I like people to do when we're writing the customer story is actually to get them to think about the before story and the after story as well. So not just the after story. So I think this is a really powerful thing to do for several reasons. One is it brings together all that beautiful research that you've done. In that research, you are going to uncover the secrets. In the research that you do, you will uncover what you thought you would never know or find out, or what you couldn't work out before. That research will allow you to write this beautiful story. If you go through the process, and it takes more time, I know, I understand that, but if you actually go through the process of writing the before story and the after story, it will give you beautiful, rich copy to access for your website. When you are writing a sales page, or when you're designing a product, you need to be able to explain to that person that you are able to take them from where they are now to where they want to be. And you can't do that if you can't describe, I know how you're feeling now. I understand what your pain points are. So for me, I understand, I know what it feels like. You've been in your business for 2 years. There was some initial success, but now you're floundering. You don't know how to get to the next point. You don't know which way to turn. You feel quite alone. You feel isolated. You have been reaching out to the wrong people. You need someone just to help you and tell you what you need to do, and to be that person who encourages you to make those really informed decisions. That there is more out there, and you're just not clear on how you can actually get there. So that's very much the before story of the people that I work with. And that can be an entrepreneur, but it can equally be someone who is in a small business. It's been in existence for 10 years and they're looking to expand into another state. It's all the same challenges from a marketing and business strategy perspective. We're talking about growth strategies. We're talking about evaluating possibilities and options that we have. You can't do any of this if you don't understand who your ideal customer is. Now, I think that I've already been through some of these questions, but what I want to talk about, these are some great questions, that you could use for focus groups, for example. What's the most important thing in their life right now? What's their favourite pastime? What do they do to relax? What do they do to re-energize? Who are the most important people in their life right now? For me, it's my children. 15 years ago, it was my friends, and 10 years before that, it was my family. That changes over time. What's their biggest fear on a day-to-day basis? What's their biggest fear in the long term? What would their perfect night out be? What would make their day the best day ever, other than winning TattsLotto, because I think that's possibly everyone. Maybe that's not the right thing to say. What would they love to help someone with? What would they love to change in someone else's life? Like, think about all of these questions and how they're relevant to your clients when you're doing your research. Look, and sorry, let me just stay focused on this. I'm just losing a little bit of track here because I am about to start talking about something that I'm quite passionate about. Go through the process of writing their before and after story, because when you are talking to your potential clients, if you can articulate and demonstrate to them that you know where they want to be and you know where they are now, it will make them feel so confident and comfortable with working with you and making that decision. You'll be amazed at the power of it. If you can tell them their story, if you can help them articulate their own story, that's really powerful stuff. Marketing is about storytelling, and in a good and authentic way, of course. I love this step. It's really, really important, but this is the final step in talking about your research. So I'm actually going to flick back on to our beautiful screen, stop screen sharing with you. One of the big mistakes, and one of the things that I get really frustrated with, and you do see it quite a bit in large corporates, where they get into this cycle of, so for example, let's think about fashion retailers. Now, fashion retailers traditionally in Australia have been driven by overseas European and American trends, and that's fine. That cycle has certainly shrunk. The time to market, we're pretty much on the same cycle now, where we used to be a season behind. Buyer used to go overseas, come back, get it all manufactured in Asia somewhere, and then sell it to Australians for way too much money. That's all great. But what if in that process you're forgetting about your customer? What if you're forgetting about the idiosyncrasies of the Australian market? What if you are so driven by that fashion and wanting to bring that to people that actually you're completely forgetting about your customer? I have seen so many big businesses failing and having serious challenges in their businesses because they forget to go back to that one simple step of actually remembering what their customer wants. They get so hung up on shareholder value, for example, on what so-and-so is going to say about this because that's their personal opinion. So hung up on their own personal opinion, their own personal needs and drivers, that they forget about focusing on the customer. They forget to be that customer-centric business. Now, I absolutely love being a marketer because we can never forget this. You can never, ever forget this. It's so important. And it's a real compass, and you need to use it as a compass in your business too for your own decision-making. I think that we are, even in small businesses, we can get, what I see happening is that people get quite hung up on their own dreams and their own desires and their own wants and their own passion and their own why, that they don't understand why things aren't happening for them. And often it's just as simple as, well, you're not asking your customers enough questions. You don't understand what their secrets are. You don't understand what their fears are or what they really need right now from you, because you're not asking them the questions, you're making assumptions. That's my biggest takeaway that I want you to take with you today, is that please don't make assumptions. If you don't know for sure, do the research to find out. So that's the trick. That's the secret. That's how we actually create success in our business, by really, really understanding what they need in combination with what we can give them. So it's finding that beautiful sweet spot. What's your passion? What can you actually give to that person? What can you design for them? What service can you offer them? What do they, combined with what they want, what they need? What's the need in the market? What's their desire? What's the thing that's missing in their life right now that you can actually give to them? If you're not researching, if you're not asking questions, and if you're not listening to the answers, then chances are it's not going to be the right combination. And it's not that hard to do. We've got this beautiful environment where we can just sit at our desk and we can research and we can ask questions. Don't be afraid of research, because it's so accessible to all of us right now. It's so important in your business. And if you're wondering what your next steps are, if you're feeling that it's been a challenging year, well, I would encourage you to actually get out there and do some research. Talk to your clients and talk to your customers about what they want. If your favorite products are not selling, do some research in the market, do secondary research. Talk to past customers and see what it is they loved about you in the first place and that they're not getting from you now. Do some research. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me now. Don't forget, I've still got my one-day strategic intensive that I'm really excited about working with people on before the end of the year. We can work on all of this for you, for your business, if you want to, creating your plans and your strategies and focusing on whatever you need to actually start 2017 on a rock solid platform. And, going through this process has been actually a great reminder for me, because when you are an entrepreneur and you are working on your own in your business, it is very easy to get stuck inside your own head, your own needs and your own desires, and to forget, hang on a minute, I'm not actually doing this just for me. yes, of course I'm doing it for me. I want to make money. I want to build a lifestyle for my family. I want all of those things, and that's all good. But that's all irrelevant if I'm not doing something for my clients, if I'm not finding what they want, and if I'm not prepared to give it to them. You know, and if I'm not prepared to do the work to find out, well, maybe I shouldn't be in business on my own in the first place. And look, I think it's really important just to ask the questions and to keep on listening. So in the interest of keeping this short and sweet and in your lunch break, which is clearly my vision here, I am actually going to sign off. You can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, or just go to my website at katemccormack.com.au, and you can have a look at any ways that you can work with me. I'd love to work with you, of course. Or just hit me up with an email, kate@katemccormack.com.au, with any questions that you have if you're too shy to say anything now. Thank you so much for coming and being here. As I always say, I know it's really hard often to do this, and I appreciate it hugely. So I will hopefully see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.